Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah. We had started working we were going to film one awesome, or like three scenes basically, and try to pitch a script idea, because in that situation, you have to have the option if you don't own the character.
Yeah.
And then right as we were like getting ready to do that, Katrina hit, and then we just never got back to it, because it was kind of like, well, why don't we work on stuff we can produce ourselves? Because who knows what would have happened with that, but they still never made the movie. So maybe they still need a script.
He was one of my favorite characters.
Oh, all-time favorite.
Yeah. He was just a great character. Especially, I like the way they portrayed him in the Wolverines too.
The Wolverine movie?
Yeah.
Right.
What were they called?
He had like an Alabama accent.
Yeah, he had the accent that tricked all of us who don't know what a Louisiana accent is, right?
Oh, okay. So it worked.
Yeah, it worked for me.
He looked the part, but for those expecting a Cajun accent, it was like, what is this?
Yeah, see, I didn't know any different, because I'm not from here.
And the cartoon, they'd have him say like share instead of sha. Like, it's okay, sha. It was so butchered.
So is that what they say in as a Cajun accent?
It's sha. But, and it's most of everything Cajun is based on French. So in Cajun French is very different, but it's spelled CHER, which, in
share.
French would not be pronounced share. But when someone just reads it, they're going to say share every time, because that's how you would sound it out. But it's share. And then in Cajun, it's kind of shortened to sha.
Mon chéri.
So mon chéri, like chéri.
Yeah.
So chéri short would be cher, and the Cajun slang of that would be sha. But nonetheless, when you're saying it in a cartoon, it makes no sense to say, oh yeah, cher, I'm gonna get on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, do you speak Cajun, I'm guessing?
Well,
you are Cajun.
It's Cajun French is actually a language. Cajun is really just an accent. So yes, I guess would be the answer. But because I can instantly just put on the accent anytime I want to. And when I was growing up, because I grew up in Cajun country, I didn't even realize at the time that I had a pretty thick accent, and then slowly had to kind of like learn how to get out of that, so that everywhere I go, I didn't sound like I was.
Yeah, I don't hear it from you at all now.
Well, no, now I don't, because, but I mean, when I start talking like that, or if I go to Lafayette for like 2 days and eat me some crawfish, then I'm going to come back and you're going to be like, what's wrong with your voice?
Mm-hmm.
Sha?
Yeah, I think whenever I first met you, and this Michael Dardant.
Well, it's French again, so it's challenging. The T is silent, but nobody says it right. So I'll accept all forms of the name Dardant or Dardant. But everybody says Dardant or Dardant, or Channing Tatum.
Yes, because he is not that Magic Mike.
Not that Magic Mike. Yes.
Yeah. How did you
get OG Magic Mike?
How did you get into doing magic and comedy together? Because that's a great combo.
Well, I think it kind of happened as I learned that was more my forte, because when I started out doing magic, I wanted to be like probably most kids my age at that time. I wanted to be David Copperfield. I wanted to be Lance Burton. I tried to have a really, elegant dove act, tried to get into a few illusions, but man, those things are expensive. So I realized I wasn't as cool as Copperfield, and I wasn't as elegant as Lance Burton, but I did have a knack for being the class clown, and realized along the way, and it was actually the comedians in town that really helped me to find my voice, and not, because at that point, then it's like you're trying to be like David Blaine, and that just wasn't my personality. Like, nobody's going to believe that's who I am. And so the comedy magic was where everything felt right. And all of a sudden started realizing that's what actually made my magic stand out and made it unique. Magic was just a reason to get on stage, but then the ability to then improv and put comedy along with it was just a joy. And that's when my personality could come out.
Yeah, I think the first time I met you, we were doing a little special for you at 7-3 Breweries. Is that 7-3 Distillery?
Oh, right. We were doing the that was just the Cajun Mike one.
Yeah, you did great on that, man. And you even pulled out the accent and everything in there. But I think you had some comedy with that too, didn't you? Or some magic with that.
That was like an hour long of just, because I have stand-up comedy as just that character, Cousin Cajun Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And I did put a little magic in there, but like a lot of what I do magic wise is still very skillful. And I kind of feel like Cajun Mike, well, he's a couillon, which would be like doofus, like how we would say in Cajun country, oh, he's just a couillon. And because that it's that doofus character, for him to do like smooth sleight of hand just doesn't make sense.
No.
But doing like gag magic or saying, look, my cousin taught me this, throwing that in, I felt worked and was a good idea. And like the banana thing where he's learning how to do a trick kind of makes sense for the character. Because people have asked me, can you come and do sleight of hand as Cajun Mike? And I try to explain to them, Cajun Mike doesn't know sleight of hand. So that doesn't work.
And the average person doesn't have a clue what you're talking about. They're like, what do you mean you can't do it as him?
Yeah, they don't get that.
Then we get playing the character. Yeah. So do you have other characters that you play?
I do. And it wasn't like, I love character work. I really get into it. And it's not like something that I thought, I need to develop all these different characters, like be a Mike Myers or something. That wasn't the goal necessarily. But I have so much fun with it that I've sort of created some along the way and have realized, oh, wow, I guess I have kind of created these different characters. I was just talking to my friend Keith about putting together a one-man show where if I can transition, figure out most of the characters I had, the wardrobe was too elaborate to be able to change quickly, but doesn't mean I can't figure that out. And because I've done and working with Trixie Minx and the Fleur de Tis show, I've had to bring out different characters because we had a different theme every weekend for 15 years. And so it's like you run out of ideas. So I had to like create. And along the way, I played Captain Hook, Willy Wonka, my own characters. We did a short where I was Antoine, the French magician, who was like a horrible magician, but just huge ego, kind of like most magicians. And then recently at some of the magic conventions, I've done impersonations of other magicians. So I've created these characters that are basically extensions of their character. So for example, one of my mentors is from Canada, Sean Farquhar. For some reason, I can nail his voice. And so anybody that has met him or heard him or seen him perform, they're like, oh my God, you sound just like him. And just from the get-go, I was able to impersonate him. So I created a character called Sean Faquar. And I did a whole act at the Close-Up Conference in New York as him, and I won the MVP award that they give. It's a 200 sleight of hand artists. It's an invite-only convention, and it's 4 days of mind-blowing, crazy magic where you're watching all these acts, and at the end, everybody votes for their favorite act. Had no idea this would happen, but they voted for me to win the MVP because of my act, which was an impersonation. And what's funny was it's like you have all these magicians and nobody remembered. I did a killer trick. Nobody remembered the trick. Like I'm sure I would have fooled people if they were paying attention, but they were too busy laughing at the impression. So it was like impressions, comedy, improv, acting. That is what actually won me that award, not the magic. But again, the magic was just the excuse to get there, I guess. And then last year I did Juicy Starling, which was a version, an impression of Lucy Darling, who is creating such a name for herself. She's emceeing a show in Chicago right now, and just an up and coming, won twice in a row at the Magic Castle, best MC, I believe, or one of the Stage Acts Awards at the Magic Castle. She's incredible, and I basically did an impersonation of her because I realized no one's gonna think I'm as good an MC in her because she's beautiful and she's funny, and so like she came out the night after me and just ripped the audience to shreds. Just brilliant. And I thought the only way to beat her is to be her. So then the next night I came out as Juicy Starling. Juicy Starling. And her original name is Lucy Darling. So sometimes the characters just come out that way.
Is she from New Orleans too?
No, actually, where is she from? She's been all over the place. She's living in Chicago now. I think she was in California before. She may have lived in Canada. I can't remember where she's originally from, actually.
Okay.
And she's one of these that has several characters as well. So she's played many. She loves doing characters. Has played many characters through the years. So her name is actually Carissa Hendricks, but her character is Lucy Darling. And it's basically like a 50s starlet character.
I think I've seen some stuff on your profile about her and stuff before. Yeah. Even Trixie, great New Orleans local talent.
Yeah, I try to promote my friends. I try to add, anybody who has talent, I try to add them to my stories, let people know what's going on. And then especially the people that have been my guests, because I've been hosting a talk show interviewing magicians called Something Up My Sleeve. And so any of my guests that come on, I'm so lucky to interview like amazing magicians from all over the world. Whenever they're doing something, I try to, keep it going and show everybody what they're up to. And
how did you get connected with these guys? Just from years of doing it?
Mainly through the competitions. So no one really knew my name in the magic world, had no idea The only difference is that magicians actually call me by my real name. Everyone else, especially around Louisiana, New Orleans, since I've been in high school, have called me Magic Mike. And that has just, they don't even realize they're doing it. That hasn't changed. And, but the magicians, I knew that there's other Magic Mikes all over the world. They'll never know who I am if I use that. And so from the get-go, I was Michael Dardant, and they're the ones that actually know my real name and how to say it. So that's the only difference. But other than that, until I started competing, nobody had a clue. I would just sit in the back of the room. I didn't stand out at all. Nobody had a clue who I was. And then started competing and doing well. And that's when the other magicians started to see that I had potential and wanted to start booking me at conventions to perform for them, and kind of, created a whole nother avenue of gigs and events. And so that's kind of how I started learning it's how I started meeting people from all over the world of magic, and like some amazing magicians that you've never seen on TV, but that are just, if you see them live, this is the most incredible experience ever. Like some of the best in the world. So it's kind of cool that now I get to be their friends and call on them, go, hey, can you talk to me for an hour on a Zoom call?
Yeah, you guys do Zoom and stuff. I saw your email when I got here. I was like, shit, he's probably not even in town right now. Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show you how things have changed. Like before the pandemic, I would have never assumed it was a Zoom call. I would have said, where do I meet you? Right. And because so many of these have been over Zoom and Zoom and the like, StreamYard, whatever, I just immediately thought, I was actually cleaning up my studio because I had the green screen and everything. And I was moving stuff around and fixing the lighting, realizing because I want to look good for you. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I should double check. And then I saw you're like, no, I'd rather do it in person. I'm like, in person? What does that mean? In person. Oh, wait a minute. Like on location. Like I'm going to actually see him in person. Yeah. It's a crazy time.
Yeah, I mean, I tried the Zoom a couple times and I couldn't get it. I couldn't get into it. So I mean, now I prefer, like, if someone can't come in person, then I'll just wait until they can.
Well, anytime you have this opportunity, then of course in person, just like a show, is a live show is always going to be better than watching a comedian on Netflix, of course, especially if there's an audience involved. But in cases where like one of the guys that I'm going to interview next is from Korea.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I could say, meet me at another bar if you can't, or where are you? That would be great. But yeah, so that's the other side of the coin, is that things have changed where we don't expect to see each other in person so much, but things have changed in that a few years ago, even I would have never thought that I could just sit there and have such a clear video call interview with somebody from Korea.
No, it's absolutely true. And especially the work from home stuff that people are doing. Like now people can live anywhere and still work their job. Yeah. I think that's a cool aspect of it as well. It's just when it comes to like personal interviews, I'd much rather just sit down with someone, and something about being right here with you. Yeah. It's very different than being over technology. Well,
and especially the ones, see, at least with a video call, you can kind of see facial reactions. But when you're just on a phone call, and I've done some where it's just recorded, just the audio, the timing is kind of weird, because you can't even see someone's face to tell if they're done talking. So you can interject or whatever, it just is one example. So yeah, it's, and that's what I love. One thing I love about magic and comedy is the fact that it is meant to be experienced in person. It is meant to be 3-dimensional, especially magic is not meant to be on a 2-dimensional screen. It's not meant to be rewound over and over. It's meant to be in the moment and have that experience, an improv moment, a magical moment that you can see you can experience the full effect of, as opposed to just 2-dimensional.
That's a whole world that I didn't even know really existed. Like you said, you had conferences and what other stuff do you have magic wise? 'Cause I mean, I've been on a cruise before and seen cruise magic magicians on there and comedians on there as well. So I mean, like what are the different outlets you have?
There's like conventions, lectures, and conferences. I mean, just like, I was performing yesterday at this, is it orthodontist?
Yeah, we filmed that.
Oh yeah, you were over there?
Yeah, we were filming over there. Yeah.
Yesterday,
yeah. I was flying drone. The other guys had the cameras. But
yeah. Nice. Okay. You may have passed me by and you didn't even realize it was me.
Probably so, yeah.
And then I think it's the same group that tonight I'm doing sleight of hand magic for. They're doing something like all by Harrah's, like in the alley there.
So you were at the convention center yesterday doing magic for them?
Okay, cool. I was inside.
Nice.
And then tonight it's in Fulton Alley. I always get them confused. This is Fulton. Yeah, Fulton Alley. So hopefully this breeze holds up, because we're getting to the point where you can't even offer me enough money to go outside. Like, wait, you want to do this outside? What, are you insane?
Maybe if it's at nighttime on a roof. Maybe that's like a good place for you to do it at.
Nighttime on a roof with some huge Hurricane fans.
It's what still feels like decent at nighttime on the roof, but like in the daytime, like it's about to be sweltering hot.
And it's funny how so people don't realize, like I was asked if I could do a 30-minute show in a park. And this would be in mid-June. And I'm like, it's not even physically possible.
Who asked you
I will
that?
die. I will collapse.
Who asked you that?
It's this crazy lady.
Not from here, obviously, right?
I know. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think what it is if you're not a performer or in the entertainment field, you're not thinking about what it means to stand in one spot and entertain, and that to do it in the blistering sun is just physically impossible. And it's not even fair to ask an audience to sit in the sun for that long. Like it just that and just covering it is still with our humidity. It doesn't matter. I would still, whatever I'm wearing, I'd be completely drenched. I'd be soaking wet like I had jumped into a pool. At the end of like probably the first 10 minutes of it. It's nuts.
So have you ever thought about doing the cruise stuff?
I have. I've actually just recently worked a couple cruises, but I've only worked for private clients that book me for a week at a time, which is actually kind of nice. And what they call, I guess, a guest artist is kind of more what I want to get into, because usually doing 1 or 2 weeks, which is perfect for me because now I have cats. When you first met me, I was just solo single, just running around the world, no worries.
I didn't know you were a cat lady.
Cat dad.
Yeah, cat dad. Yeah.
Now 3. Now we have 3. So it's tough. I used to travel all the time. Like I just got back from 2 weeks. I was in 4 cities, and by the time I was just so ready to get home, and that was not the old me. I could have just kept going, could have stayed on the road, but now I have children. So that's my babies. What got me into that before I take the podcast away and make it a cat podcast, because I'll start showing you pictures, but about the cruises. So that's why a 1 or 2 week cruise would work is kind of what I want to do. But I have a lot of friends who are doing great, making a good living and living an incredible lifestyle, working cruise ships, probably doing 4 to 6 week runs, I think is maybe their average, maybe less, but which is fine. I think that's a good amount too. It's changed a little bit where now they can fly all over the place. Sometimes you switch ships in the middle of a contract, as opposed to where you'd have to be gone for 6 months at a time in the old days. So cruise entertainers really had to stick to that kind of lifestyle, because you were just gone, and there was at that point you were really gone. There's no internet on the boats. Like you'd have to close yourself off from society, and then I'll talk to you in 6 months. Now, of course, it's a little different where they can sit on a beach and still get work done or call people. But so it's changed a lot, but that is definitely something. It's a difficult industry to get into. Your best route is an agent, which I don't have a cruise agent. That's something that I'm looking for. So it's a hard industry to pursue, but definitely worth it. And now that I've done a few cruises, I know I love it. Some people don't like that for some reason, or they don't like being on a boat, but absolutely love it.
Well, I feel like with you, that would complement your talents, because you have so much that you can do that you would have someone different on stage every night. With a lot of these guys, they get on stage and they're comedians. So, I mean, they probably run out of material pretty quick.
Well, that's one good thing about, I guess, being versatile. So to not run out of material, but you basically have to prove that you have the material, because for the most part you can't just send in a highlights reel. They want to see your whole act. They want to see 2 whole acts. They want to see, like in some cases, 1 45-minute show, 1 30-minute show, and you might need an extra 15 minutes in reserve or whatever, and then having the ability, being versatile, not just as a magician, but as an entertainer, like throwing some juggling in the mix, being able to do improv comedy. But even some magicians that just stick to one style are not going to be as bookable, because like if you only work stage and you really don't do any strolling sleight of hand, then that's like, I'd say over 50% of the gigs that I'm doing close-up magic. So like that would eliminate a huge market for me if I wasn't able to transition. And I've worked a lot of gigs where I'm just the MC. They don't even need me to do magic. I might throw in something quick, but they really just need a good speaker, a good MC to hold it together. And there's some guys that they know their act. They do a beautiful act, but if you threw them on stage and gave them a handheld mic, they'd be clueless. They wouldn't even know how to hold it. So versatility, I think, is definitely a key.
Yeah, I know quite a few of those comedians that they have great acts, amazing comedians. But whenever we've been filming some skits with these comedians around here, and when you get them in front of a camera or get them on stage, they clam up. It's like, unless I have the words memorized, I can't do anything. They can't improvise.
And when you really start enjoying improv, and it becomes almost like that's what you'd rather do. And it becomes sort of a crutch where not that, I mean, I was already lazy, but I feel like it kind of makes me a little lazy because I realize I can get away with not being that prepared. I'm going to kill it anyway, but it doesn't make it, it's not an excuse for not being prepared. And it's funny to see people that are really well scripted, but just haven't worked on those skills.
Yeah.
And then they're just such a fish out of water. Like even a lot of actors that you go off the script and they're lost because they've never really studied that side of it. And they don't really know how to improv with their character, which is a weird concept to me because I think improv is the most fun thing there is.
That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, which is why I didn't have to be nervous. Whenever I know I'm going to improv, I know that nobody thinks I have lines. Nobody is worried about a script. So how can I fail? I can't mess up because there's nothing to mess up. So anytime I'm driving to a gig, I'm a little nervous. I still like people go to, oh, does that wear off? I mean, to some extent, I know I'm going to do a good job, but I'm still always a little anxious the day before any event I have to do. But when I know it's improv, it's like there's no reason to be nervous. What are you going to be nervous about? You know, you don't even know what you're going to be doing. There's nothing to be nervous.
Did you always have that mentality, or was it when you got older, when you got that development mentality?
It was like one of those realizations of things that I was doing along the way and not really understanding it or realizing it. So I remember doing this comedy show. I think it was in Houma or Thibodaux, Louisiana, which Cajuns are the best crowd. They don't even need it. They don't need an entertainer. They can entertain themselves. I usually start by going like, oh, why do y'all even need me here? You know, you can make each other laugh. You don't need me. There was 2 other Cajun comics, and then I did comedy magic, but I pulled the audience members on stage. And whenever you have a volunteer, obviously you're off script because they don't have a script. So even if you're just saying pick a card, you think you know how it's going to go, but it might not. So anytime you're interacting with someone who doesn't have a script, to me, that is improv. And because they were Cajuns, they were so much fun. And so like I had like a bonus 15 minutes of material of just me messing around with people because they were giving me so much to work with. But at that time, I hadn't really studied the principles of improv. So when you're a solo performer and you are interacting, you start to pick these things up over years, as opposed to when I started doing formal improv training, which was a little bit after the hurricane, that's how we tell time, right? So right after Katrina, it was strange how like all these principles of improv just started making so much sense as to like, oh, this is what I've been doing, but I didn't know what to call it, or I didn't really realize I was doing it. Because partner training, you're doing it with each other, and that's how it's different. When you're a solo act, the only time you're improving is when you're messing with the audience, and it's a very different thing. So if you don't have that interaction in your show and you're only doing like a visual stage act, you might never pick up those principles. So that's when, and there was like the comedians that pointed out, they were like, that's your strong point. Like not the comedy you're putting into your magic, which in this case was really the improv I was putting into it, was helping me was elevating me as a performer and helping me to stand out. And so it was like the comedy of New Orleans is what pointed out to me of what was good about what I was doing. That's
one of the coolest things I see about the comedians is that there is a community there. And they always show up and they for each other and help each other out with their jokes and things. I didn't realize that was even a thing either until we started doing the open mics here at the bar. Yeah. But we have so many comedians that come out every Tuesday, and it's like they have their own community. It's awesome.
I love that. Well, I didn't know what was going on here, so I'm gonna have to come check it out.
Come check it out sometime, man.
That was one of the things I realized that I needed to do, because the thing about learning magic is that when you learn the mechanics and the moves to an effect, you kind of adopt the same pattern or routine from who you learned it, because you have to say something. I have to say something while I'm moving my hands, right? So I just say the jokes and whatever, I learned along with the trick, which makes a lot of magicians what I call a paint by numbers act. You could never get away with that in the comedy world. I remember we were going to open mic one time and somebody got up and just started reciting Chris Rock's whole routine. We're like, what is this? What is this guy doing? It's like, obviously he didn't get it. That's great stage practice, but you got to write your own stuff, man. This is an open mic. You can't just get on stage and start doing someone else's material. And it was like so blatant. It was obvious he just didn't know. Yeah. And, but as magicians, we get away with that all the time. And it's so sad. And it's so much do they get away with that they'll start purposely, just as if it's okay, just stealing other people's material of like, oh, I love that joke, I'm going to put it in my show tomorrow night. Those situations. One guy was who MCs for magicians was just talking about, he did a bit, and then the very next night he was being introduced at a different theater by a guy who was in his crowd, who was the MC. The guy did that bit before introducing him. He was like, wow, that lasted one day. I had it for one day and before it was completely stolen. And
did he do anything about it?
Magicians get away with it all the time because when there's a prop or a gag involved, you just figure, oh, the routine goes with the trick.
All right.
And so so that's why I call it like a paint by numbers. They're just doing paint by numbers act. So I wanted to avoid that.
Yeah.
It aggravated me when I saw other people do it. I didn't like standing on stage doing a brilliant piece of magic, but to a routine that wasn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then having someone say, you're amazing. That hurt. That didn't feel good because I know that, no, they just didn't know that I didn't write this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going to open mics, leaving the deck of cards at my table. I always had this crutch with me so that if worse comes to worse, I can go, hey, throw me that pack of cards. All right, let's do this. But so I always had the emergency backup of like, I know I'm good at magic, but I would take the cards out of my pocket so I couldn't just go to that. And I had to be funny. I had to write jokes and just basically pretend to only be a comedian. And it was so funny how we got booked one time at Carrollton Station. We got booked me, let's see, Dane Fauché, forget who else was there. So they did their sets and I did 15 minutes of my card and grapefruit routine, which I've been doing for years and years, but I had never done it at an open mic. Why? I didn't need to practice that.
Yeah.
So I do this whole routine and they're looking at me like, where did that come from? Why have we never seen that before? I'm like, because I don't practice that at the open mics. I'm not trying to learn magic. I'm trying to learn comedy. I'm trying to, you guys are helping me write comedy right now.
So I actually, when we first started doing them here, I was like, yeah, whatever. They're standing up there talking on stage. And one night I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go up there.
Yeah.
So I went up there and I signed my name on the list. And my roommate at the time actually signed his name on the list as well. He's like, I'm going to go up after you. I was like, okay.
Wait. Okay. Did you actually work on material or you're just like, I'm just going to come up with something?
I was like, this isn't that hard. I can do this. So I was like, I'm just going to get there and fucking crush it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I go up first and I bomb so bad that in the middle of my like bombing, my roommate goes and marks his name off the list. And I was like, this son of a bitch, man.
What, you thought it would just come to you all at once?
I did. I was like, I think I can do this. I can just get up there and riff on things. Cause I mean, I do it all the time.
Okay. So I was like, I'm just going to improv like with the audience.
Yeah, but it's very different when you're on stage and you see all these faces looking at you and you say one thing and they don't react to it. And you're like, fuck, this is going bad. So the only one that was laughing that night was the host because he thought it was so funny that I was bombing.
Sure. Well, and that's where you just got to own it.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you just got to own the failure. Slam dunk it.
But I mean, it was a good experience though because now I know how difficult it actually is to get up there and write material. Like there's a lot of people that sit out in the audience and they heckle because they don't understand. They've never been on stage like that.
Right.
But yeah, I've had the experience. I want to actually write something and get up again though because it was fun. I like being in front of the stage, in front of people.
Yeah, well, at least having something you're gonna try to tweak or work on to figure out the timing or how it's gonna go. But to get up with absolutely no material.
Well, the reason we were getting up was because he was doing a film where he was acting as a comedian.
Okay.
So he had those lines that he could have said on stage. But I made the mistake of going up first. Right. As I typically do. Yeah. And then he was like, you know what, I'll wait till next time.
Do you remember any of your bits or material or what you talked about?
Oh, dude, I talk about
hey, where do you work?
Well, I think at
who's
the time,
from out of town?
Well, no. I think at the time I was talking about oh my God, what the length of the vagina.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you went straight into the blue.
Straight in there, man. Yeah.
We're just going to skip straight ahead.
Yeah. I was talking about how taller chicks don't actually have longer vaginas. Yeah.
Okay. I could see how that could be funny material. So then now you just got to work on the pacing, the timing and the structure of it. And yeah, I mean, I'm laughing right now.
That's my old material though.
And I like observational comedy that you might not think about, but like that is something to think about.
What in my mind, I'm like, I have so much weird shit that I think about all the time. This would probably land if it came out right, but it never comes out right.
You know what we could do is I could give you a routine I wrote a long time ago and you can play with it. Cause I realized this doesn't work for me because I don't go blue simply because it's not even doesn't matter. Like I could be in front of people that I know it doesn't matter. I'm not going to offend anybody.
What do you mean by blue?
Blue material where you get into like offensive humor or, racy material. Well, anytime basically you use the word vagina, you have gone blue. Cause you can no longer use that joke for like corporate comedy. You can't say this is clean comedy. There's really no way to sneak in the word either, unless maybe if you were trying to think if you were at like a gynecologist convention, maybe you could. Even then, I think it'd be hard to sneak in that word. And so that's what I mean by going blue.
Yeah.
So I wrote a routine. The whole routine was about the G spot. And it was the night I remember is like when people ask, have you bombed on stage? A complete bomb. And I realized at that moment, I'm not good at that. It doesn't fit my personality.
Right.
Doing this type of material just doesn't work for me. People don't see that coming out of me. And it was good to make that realization. It's good to find your niche and figure out like, I'm good at clean comedy. I can get a little edgy or make innuendos sometimes, but to like, you rarely would ever hear me curse on stage or even start talking about like sex or things like that. And even the jokes that I kind of get away with, like I have a bit where I say, by the way, in case you wonder how I identify, I am a metrosexual. It's a term from the 80s. It means I don't come out of the closet. I reorganize it. And even that, because I'm still talking about sexuality and how people identify, is still a little bit edgy until you realize, okay, he's talking about himself. He's not offending anybody.
Yeah.
Metro's not one of the things we're all confused about. But even that, it's just like, that's right at the edge for me, but it's good that I found my limitations. And what found me that this is years ago, and I still have it written somewhere, but it was about, what does the G stand for? And it was kind of like this really blue material delivered like Seinfeld would, and so it just did not work at all. And I was like, one day I'm just going to give it to somebody else who can get away with this kind of material and see what they can do with it.
Dude, send it to me. I'll try it.
It was great jokes. I don't remember it all now, but it was great jokes.
That'll be, if you find it.
What does the G stand for? Good luck.
I'll send it, or I'll get on stage again and I'll try it out.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll film it and I'll be like, yo, this is for you, bud. This is for you.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought you brought your notebook in. Did you have any good stuff in there you brought in?
Oh,
I don't know if you have any notes that you were gonna like try.
Oh no! It was more of a. I'll look. It was more of a in case I need to write anything down. Like, to have. Yeah. I'm kind of old school, and if I don't write it, it doesn't feel like just putting something on my phone. I feel like I'll forget 2 seconds
lost
later.
Yeah.
But if I write it down, then it's a better chance I'll learn and go over it.
Dude, I went through my notes the other day because I write stuff in my phone all the time when I have an amazing thought or so I think. I put it in my notes, and every maybe like 8 months, I'll try to go through it, and it's just fucking scanning, dude. It's like, where did all this come from? Like, and some of this shit's just not even useful at all. But I mean, they do just get lost in your phone.
What's really weird is when you will, I picked up my notebook. I came up with this idea. I was in my closet, came up with this idea for like, I have all these different magic wands that I've collected over the years. I never even really use a wand when I'm performing, but I have all these different ones, and they all are different in their own way. And I thought, maybe I could work on a routine where I just show everybody all the wands and like this does this one stretches, this one shoots fire. And I pick up my notebook and I flip, and it's the one that I guess that I was keeping in my closet. I flipped to go write it down, and I had already written it. Like I had already had this entire thought for this entire routine, forgot all about it because it was right there, already staring me in the face. That was weird. So I was like, okay, it's good that you write things. Obviously you do forget things. So when you have an idea, it's good to write it down. Like tall women. Yeah, that's a good one. Is
that what you have written there right now?
No, because that's your joke. And I wouldn't get away with it.
Oh, tall vaginas.
Yeah.
Get it right.
There's got to be something to that,
Yeah, there was a scientist in the bar one night, and we were talking about the length of the vagina. God, it was so long ago. That's why I can't remember this. This is what hurts the most too. Is like I had this conversation with probably 1,000 people in this bar over a year's time, and now it's just gone. It's out of my brain. Yeah. But I can't remember what it was about. Yeah, I was just wondering if taller women had longer vaginas. And apparently when the scientist came in, she corrected me and she was like, no, she said there's more variation in female vaginas than there is in male penis length. So if you have two men that are the same height, that they'll have a closer size unit than the females will vaginas. Maybe that's what it was.
Wait, I thought that's opposite. You said
it is opposite. No. Yeah. It's opposite of what I said. Yeah.
So she said there is a lot of variety.
She said there is variety. Yes. But it doesn't.
But she said it's not based on size.
It's not based on height. No.
Oh. Huh.
That's what she was saying. Yes. It's in the brain now.
Okay.
But I thought it was fascinating. I was like, okay, so you're telling me that, I don't know. I mean,
the only way to conduct the experiment is to start measuring. Now, see, if I was really better prepared, I would have just freaked you out because I would have pulled out a 12-inch ruler out of nowhere. I was doing this all last weekend. So basically at the dollar store, I found a slap bracelet that at the other side of it's a ruler. And because it coils up, I'm able to just like kind of like pull it along my arm, and it looks like it's just appearing out of thin air. And you can't tell that it's a slap bracelet. And when it comes out, it looks like a 12-inch ruler. And because I was telling people, they keep asking me, being around all these amazing magicians, how do you measure up? I have a video of it, and I hold out the ruler like this. And that would have freaked you out if I'd have just said, let's measure them. Boom.
Well, if you were prepared for that, then I would have been like, well, this guy's real. He's the real deal.
I was mentally prepared for it, but I don't have my slap bracelet on. And I should have. I'm going to get more of those because I didn't realize that I need to be prepared to pull out a 12-inch ruler just randomly.
I mean, it's always, you
never know.
Especially when you're around me, you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. Like one of the things I've been doing, it's going to get weird again. It's going to get weird, but I started making mead. You know what mead is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like honey, yeast, and water essentially is mead, and you flavor it with whatever you want to.
I'm a regular Ren Fair participant, so
okay.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, I made a bunch of mead, and I was like, what else can I do with this setup that I have? Because I was bored with it after about 3 weeks, and I was like, what if I take other forms of yeast and make mead with other forms of yeast? So of course, where do you go to when you're thinking of yeast?
Oh, measuring.
Yeah, vaginas, right?
Yeah.
So I ordered some yeast from a company and made some vaginal mead.
Are you serious?
100%.
I have heard of that before it was that Ricky Gervais show where that series Afterlife where they were interviewing a woman who was baking. She was
with her yeast?
Yeah. Apparently.
I wonder what form she was using because apparently there's 6 forms of yeast in the vagina.
Depending on how tall they are.
Well, yeah, depending on how disgusting they are, probably.
So basically, you want to make beer from the yeast of a tall woman.
Well, my idea
is kind of like your goals right now.
Yeah, my idea was to go to celebrities and say, "Hey, we want to take a sample of your yeast and then make beer with it."
Oh, and you'll be like Sheldon, where you have autographs on restraining orders from all these different people in Hollywood. Like, look at this. Look at this. I got Sandra Bullock's autograph right here on this restraining
That's
order.
my plan, to be that guy. Yeah.
Nice. So, and I didn't want to try that meat in particular, but you're about to break some meat up because it is 11 o'clock in New Orleans.
Well, no, I didn't bring it with me, but if you want some, I can get you a bottle.
No, I was just thinking it's a good time for a morning beer because it's New Orleans.
It is
everybody besides us is at Jazz Fest right now.
Yeah, it's true. Do you actually go to the Renaissance Fest?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, dope. Do you dress up and stuff or do you perform or like what?
Of course. I love characters. Yeah. I would feel ashamed to go and not dress. I wouldn't even go. I'm not going to go there in a polo or something. The one exception would be you could wear a Star Trek uniform and then pretend like you're on the holodeck the whole time. But otherwise, you're going to want to be in character. It's way more fun that way. And plus, I love dressing up like a pirate or a ninja. I have tons of, about the other thing I do, my virtual reality stuff, right?
No. What is this?
Okay. So one of my closets, not the Metro closet, the ninja closet has nothing but ninja clothes and some pirate clothes, some pirate garb as well. Wait, you didn't realize that I had been doing that? Because this has started before. I don't know if when we were filming that stuff, but Jason's been a huge cheerleader for me on that front as well. Because during COVID, there was nothing else to do.
Yeah, he loves the VR stuff.
And so I got so hooked on it, and I started streaming on Twitch every day. I would stream in mixed reality, so I'm dressed as a ninja. I'm wearing actual like ninja garb, and I'm in the game. So you're watching. So
it's like the metaverse or what?
Well, I have both the Oculus Quest and also the Steam HTC Vive, the HTC Vive Pro. And so when I'm streaming, I'm using the Vive. And other than that, when I travel with my Quest 2, and I'm able to like introduce other people to VR and do it.
Oh, so you do this all the time then?
Yeah. So my ninja name is Freak VR. And so you get an idea of, I'm showing him what it looks like. I know this doesn't translate well into a podcast, but you can look up Freak VR on Instagram or on TikTok. And you see, I'm a ninja there and the game is around me.
How are you? Are you like filming behind you too on the green screen or something?
So the camera's attached to the computer. But the interesting thing is that the environment can turn. And so if the camera's actually, see how the environment's turning? The camera's stationary, but it looks like I have a camera on a tracker.
Yeah.
Because I'm moving with the environment. So everything you see is turning. And it'll turn like 360 and I'll be facing the camera.
Bro, this game is such a good workout too.
And it's a great workout. Yeah. So it's like, okay, the only thing I'm doing different if I worked out every day is putting on this outfit. So that takes a little longer.
Yeah.
But that way I'm able to entertain, build up a Twitch channel while getting an amazing workout in.
You're so good
and
too.
having fun. You have so much fun that you don't even realize you're working out.
That game's hard too, man.
Yeah. Oh, I play Beat Saber with a bow staff. Here, I'll show you what that. So most people use the 2 sabers when you're playing Beat Saber. But what I like to do is I play most of the games wrong, actually. Let's see, is it this one? Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
I use the well, I don't know if you want to hear that. But so it's the 2 sticks connect, the controllers are connected on 1 stick. So the stick is about not quite 2 feet, a little less than 2 feet, I guess. But of course, it looks like a freaking
dude. You're so freaking good. You're just murdering.
Yeah.
Did you have you trained with a bow staff before, or is this
sort of? I had trained in karate starting early on in my life, and always loved it, and kind of kept that going until it was difficult for me to attend classes. But I would keep working out on my own. And while I did mainly empty hand stuff, I played around with different weapons and learning to disarm it. And my favorite, probably because of Gambit, because of the X-Men, but my favorite weapon was always the bow staff, and just loved playing around with that. And so once I realized you could turn off the arrows and use a bow staff, it's to me the best way to play.
Bro, that's insane. Like if you ever come at me with a stick, I'm running. I'm running. That's you're so good at that.
It's so much fun. And the cool thing is I in between all the songs, people don't really tune in to watch me pretend to be a ninja in the game, which I didn't realize at first, because I was going to be mute. I was just going to be this, try to be amazing at the games, never even talk. Well, that didn't work at all, because people tune in because of the improv that's going on as this funny ninja is goofing off in between all the songs, or half the time it's tech issues that I'm trying to solve because this is so technologically advanced. Like, what a weird hobby to pick, especially for somebody who's not tech savvy. And half the time, like, my green screen's falling down on top of me, and that's when I get the most viewers. It's when stuff like that. In fact, my green screen was falling on top of me. I had no idea what was going on. And you heard of Mr. Beast on YouTube? He popped into my channel and dropped like $500, and it all happened so fast. Everybody in chat was freaking out, and I didn't know what was happening because I had the green screen on top of me, and I'm just like making jokes while I'm trying to fix this thing, and then realized later what had happened.
He was getting you a new green screen, huh?
Yeah, he was helping. He's like, this guy needs a green screen.
Nice.
Then I didn't know who he was at the time. Then when I realized later, I was like, that was it? 500? Like, this guy gives out $10,000 to kids at trick or treat.
He should just hired somebody to come fix your whole setup.
Yeah,
that's what he should have done.
Yeah. Where you at, Mr. Beast?
So you're on Twitch, right?
Yes.
Twitch at what's the name again?
Freak VR.
Freak VR. Check him out. I didn't.
For
Dude,
VR.
you're so good on that. It's insane. I have the Oculus. I played it maybe like 6 months, and then I was like, like I like to sit still and play my video games.
Yeah.
When it comes to like actually getting up and moving,
well, I mean, you got to find the ones that are fun.
Yeah.
It's like getting the exercise.
Beat Saber was great. I used to do it. I would do like 3 or 4 songs, and I would be just wiped out.
Yeah.
So then I would be done. How long do you play when you do them?
Well, when there was nothing else going on, I would literally do 3-4 hour streams, sometimes even longer. So I at one point I did a 24-hour stream, mostly VR, which was crazy. It was when there was a hurricane headed our way, but we weren't sure if it was turning or what. So it was like I was gonna maybe evacuate. So I decided to do a stream like until 24 hours or until the hurricane comes, whichever comes first. And the hurricane didn't come our way. And so I finished the whole 24-hour stream. But I try to every day put in like at least 45 minutes. That's what I've been trying to do. Of course, like not as easy when you're traveling. Moved recently, so kind of got out of my routine. But I've been trying to do at least 45 minutes. And then if I'm streaming, it'll be probably at least 2 hours, if not more, of 2 to 3 hours of a couple of the games. Sometimes just one, but I'll play Beat Saber, Synth Riders, Pistol Whip, which is another fun one.
This is all on the Oculus and stuff, or the in VR?
All 3 of those games are on all of them. Yeah. Available on all of them. So for Pistol Whip, you can shoot the guys, and it's like this moving, you're like on a conveyor belt moving through. It's very, very arcade looking. It's really cool. And you can shoot the guys, or if they're close enough, you can hit them with the gun, which is essentially a controller. So once I realized you could do that, what I did was I strapped the controllers to my feet. So, and I call it pistol kick. So now it looks like these digital floating guns around by my ankles, and I kick the guys as they're coming by. Oh, it's so cool.
So goofy, dude. I love streamers. I think they're cool. So you said something really cool whenever we first got here, because I always ask the guests, I say, is there anywhere you don't want to go with this? And then I mentioned politics.
Yeah.
And you said something that I think that everyone should hear what you had to say.
Oh, basically, sometimes I feel like I'm the only person who will admit that they don't understand politics. And when I listen to other people talk, I'm asking myself, does this guy really understand politics? I feel like so many people just regurgitate what they heard on the radio, and they say, I like this guy, so I'm going to use this opinion and make it their own opinion. And all of a sudden they're just throwing out these opinions, and like, I hear conversations and it still doesn't clarify things. And it's so awkward sometimes when that's something that people want to talk about, and you realize that if I participate in the conversation, I'm just going to look like an idiot anyway. So I just tell them, hey, I'm an idiot. Don't ask me, because it's not that I don't have opinions. It's just I don't understand at all. So yeah, that's my opinion of politics is people are too much into politics.
Yeah. I mean, that's my 2 cents too. I think that no one really understands it.
Right.
I think even the people that are in politics don't even understand what they're doing.
Half the time.
Yeah. I have no clue what they're even doing there. I think the people they're the real leaders of this country are people that don't actually want to participate, like the ones that should be there. That's
the I'm trying to remember where that originally came from, but the idea a long time ago in other countries was someone would be elected, and not because they wanted to, and actually the person who doesn't want to do it is kind of the one you want, really.
Yeah.
Who would do the job for the right reasons, and that you wouldn't vote for someone who really wants to be in office.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you put that guy in? Find someone who you believe can be a leader and who's reluctant to do it. And then when they realize what the responsibility means, if it means something to them, then maybe they'll do a good job of it.
Yeah, rather than just doing it for the paycheck.
Yeah,
or the kickbacks,
or the fame,
or the fame,
the glory, the ego.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have right now is that issue. But yeah, man, is there anywhere else you want to take this today? Anywhere else weird you want to get? We didn't really get weird yet.
No, we didn't. Well, you did. I mean, but that's your comedy bit. Making some yeast mead.
That's a real life thing. I've done some weird shit, man. Like one time I tried to make, because I heard that diabetics could make whiskey from their urine. And I was like, well, if a diabetic can fucking do it, then I'm not even a diabetic. But I was like, I'll try to do it. So I tried for months to make whiskey from my urine.
How would that possibly work?
So according to the science behind it is that they have a lot of sugar coming through their kidneys. They're flushing sugar out more than the normal person is because they're diabetic. And if the yeast gets mixed in with the sugar, as sometimes yeast is down there, then when they pee, it ferments. And if it ferments long enough, it ferments into whiskey.
Fermented urine could become whiskey.
Yeah. So if you have enough sugar in your urine and then you mix yeast with it, the correct kind of yeast, then it can ferment and become whiskey.
So what you're saying is you'll just drink anything.
Well, so I never drank it. Okay. I never tried it. I didn't even.
Wouldn't that be the point of it?
You would think so, but for me, it's about making it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's about just seeing if it
made somebody else drink it.
So I didn't make anyone drink the whiskey, the piss whiskey.
Okay. So you have no idea if it fermented or not.
Well, I know it fermented because I went.
Because what?
I opened the lid and it went.
Oh, it made
it released gas.
Oh, wow.
So that means it ferments. But I wouldn't brave enough to try that one, but I've tried the vagina mead. Yeah, I've tried that. I've even tried it on the podcast. I've tried it with like 10 or 12 people that have volunteered to try it. It tastes good.
And you're part owner here?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah.
Wondering what they're going to be serving at the bar.
No, we serve only the good stuff at the bar. Okay. Yeah. Not my experiments.
Only Hollywood yeast.
You can actually buy the piss whiskey though.
What?
There's a company, is a family of diabetics, and they literally make piss whiskey, and you can buy it. It's very expensive.
Well, it's good that diabetics are out there earning, figuring out ways to make a living.
Dude, there's all kinds of crazy shit in this world. Yeah.
What are you good at? Well, I'm good at not being good at sugar. Oh, okay. Well, here's something you could do. You got some time at home?
There's a diabetic guy that hangs out at the bar. I've been trying to milk him.
Are you diabetic? Would you like to make some extra cash? Drink this.
Michael, what's next for you, my friend?
Well, I have to actually figure a lot out over the next couple months because what could possibly. So one thing I'm trying to figure out what I can actually say. I guess I can say that I got to save the date. There's no guarantee yet, but I might in July, hopefully, be filming on the Penn and Teller's Fool Us. So hopefully watch me there. The season would start in October. I got to save the date. Mainly that they want to check my schedule, see when I'm not free, if I'm free during those 3 weeks. But there's no guarantee because they have several acts to try to position and figure out how they're going to use. And the one thing that may be working against me is the fact that it is, even though the premise is that I'm not doing a card trick, that we're going to imagine a card trick, it's still a card trick. And so they do get a lot of card tricks, but it's difficult to figure out a way to fool them without the use of a card trick. That's, the number one way to go because there's so many alternatives. There's so many different methods and things you can do. But I do have another idea that I'm trying to get rolling because I haven't ever done it. So I couldn't send in a video because it's never been done, but it would involve a rubber chicken and a knock knock joke. And I feel like that might be unique enough that they might take and go, yeah, put the guy with the rubber chicken. And then two, there's been so many people on Penn and Teller's Fool Us that how do you stand out? Even like, oh, that's the guy that did the card trick. No, but that's the guy with the rubber chicken. That could work. So
that's a rubber chicken and a knock knock joke to fool Penn and Teller.
Yeah. The premise is we get into like the structure of a knock knock joke, and that's without revealing too much because obviously I want to.
Do it on there for sure.
I want to get the visual there when it's ready.
Yeah.
I got to kind of build this effect. So that's one thing. And then also what's happening in the next couple months is in Dallas is a combined convention, the TAOM, which is the Texas Magicians, and also the national organization, the Society of American Magicians, is having a joint convention there. It's a big convention because every 3 years is the World Championships of Magic. So the year before is the qualifiers so that you can compete in the World Championship. So I was there in 2015, which was held in Italy. It's every 3 years in a different country. And it's going to be next year again in Italy. And then we had the first time ever, it was in North America, was last time, which was in Quebec, Canada. And they're bidding for it again. So we're hoping that it will be back in Quebec, which would be in another 3 years. So it's a choice of like, so it would have now been 10 years ago and I placed 7th. Mm-hmm. So like when you're that close, like I didn't know how I would do, but when you get that close, it's like, well, could I do a little bit better and maybe with a little bit better act and put some more thought into it? So I have to decide because I don't have much time to get my act together to qualify. I would have another year to perfect the act for the actual competition, assuming that I would make it to be able to attend the World Championships. It's also expensive too.
You placed 7th overall in the World Championship?
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is, but did NOLA.com cover that? No, but guess what? When I won the greasing of the poles competition, I was on the front page. But yeah, World Championships of Magic. I had 2 articles done about me in France while I was traveling. And then all of a sudden they're like, what's going on? But next day after I was the first male to win the greasing of the poles back in 2005. This all happened the same year. Yeah. Front page, NOLA.com. Yeah. So we understand where your priorities are in New Orleans, but it's not exactly a spectator sport. It's not like I was in the World Championships of basketball or golf or one of these other sport ball things.
When you place that high in anything in a world competition, that's freaking massive. So congratulations with that. I didn't know that either. Yeah. That's huge.
It was 7th in what's called parlor magic. There's 8 categories, and 12th in comedy stage magic, which I was on stage with Kitty Chaos, who was my hilarious assistant during a really cool act that we put together called Please Don't Drink. The original name for the act was I Don't Do Birds. And the original act actually involved Trixie Minx and Kitty Chaos. And we had a big illusion, the Houdini water torture illusion, or escape really is what it's called, I guess. And there was no way I was going to be able to I would have had to find that prop in Italy or build it. Like there would be no way I could pay to ship a giant barrel over there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a way to do it, but it would have been so expensive, and realizing just the practicality. So I had to kind of cut the act down in half. We had to cut for time anyway, but we did very well with it in other places. And so had basically won a lot of the national rankings and then decided to take it to that level.
But yeah, and if it's closer, then you can bring whatever act you want to, right?
If it's close up?
No, if it's closer. Like you said, it was
If
going
it's
to be in Canada or somewhere.
Well, the one next year is Italy, so it's going to be back there again. And it is the whole idea is obviously expensive. We're trying to work on situations where we can more work as a team to support American competitors in that situation, especially financially. I had started an Indiegogo last time, which went really well, but that's like a job in itself where you have to keep up with it every day and keep, responding to people and keep promoting it. But it served the purpose though. It supported the whole trip for me to go over there and all that. So it's a question of, do I try to go for next year in Italy, or do I wait another 3 years and hope to qualify when it's back in Canada? If it's back in Canada, it could be back, because 6 years ago it was in China.
Oh, they don't tell you ahead of time where it's going to be?
No, you won't know until after the next one's over. And it depends on what countries are bidding for it, which is not usually that many, but it's been, the only time it was in North America was the last one. It's been in Europe and Asia, like for the duration of the history of the competition. Yeah,
that's something another one of those things I didn't even know existed. That's awesome.
It's called FISM, which stands for French Fédération Internationale Société de Magiciens.
There's a lot of magicians in France, or in France, right? Is that why they do that there? Is that why they do there?
Why is it? That's a good question. I think I used to know the answer to that. Why is it spelled out in French? Probably must have had something to do with like the FISM board at the time, because the universal language is English. So all the judges of the contest have to be able to understand English. That's considered the universal language in the contest. But like when I was there last time, I realized my act is a lot of comedy, a lot of puns, and that's makes for a lot of my misdirection as well.
Yeah.
And 80% of the crowd, English was not their first language, which I worked in I worked in some French and little bits of Italian, and throughout the kind of peppered the act. But the one that actually won in my category, and actually he won what's called the Grand Prix overall, he could translate his entire act into 4 different languages and did so.
Wow.
He was basically doing an act where things kept repeating. And so he was repeating it in different languages and, won over the entire crowd and did phenomenal magic. His name is Pierrick. He did phenomenal magic as well. I mean, just incredible act, definitely well-deserved win. But that was one thing that my takeaway was, we talk about knowing your audience, know your crowd. Well, if your crowd is 80% non-English speaking, you got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, the fact that he translated his act into 4 different languages is massive.
Yeah.
I think he deserved that dub.
Yeah, he did.
He deserved the dub. So, Mike, where can the people find you out there?
So #NotThatMagicMike is the easiest way to find me, because I every time I'm on stage, I have to explain. I hope there was no false advertising. I've been called Magic Mike since I was in high school, but I'm not that Magic Mike. Then I proceed to say, sorry to disappoint you, but I would disappoint you. That's not me. If you don't know what I'm referencing, there's an actor named, was it Chanting Scrotum?
Chanting Scrotum, yeah.
And he made a movie that has nothing to do with magic, but stole my name. Not just me, but there's other Magic Mikes. Like the Magic Mike of Toronto was pretty pissed off as well. I had to talk with him. Yeah. So we should try to have a class action suit with all the other Magic Mikes, including the DJ Magic Mike. There's the Tattoo Magic Mike out of Lafayette. There's a lot of Magic Mikes actually. There was like 7 just around Louisiana alone. And before this ever even happened, I had to constantly explain, no, I'm not that Magic Mike. And then it hit me one day, because it used to be you could Google Magic Mike and find me immediately. And then after that movie came out, it would probably take about like 1,700 Google pages of ab muscles before you'd ever come to the magician. And I realized that it had been so easy for people to remember Magic Mike as opposed to Michael Dardant. Most people don't know how to spell my last name, but my website's Michael Dardant. So you have to figure it out to get to my website. So the easiest thing is #NotThatMagic. If you can remember Magic Mike, you can remember Not That Magic Mike. So that's how I tag everything. But most of my handles are Michael Dardant, Dardant. The T is silent because I am French. Actually born in France. Before moving grew up in Cajun country, but born there.
Okay.
So not a Cajun last name, a French last name. And my ninja stuff is at Freak VR. So if you're looking for me on Twitch, and the podcast that I've been doing interviewing other magicians is called Something Up My Sleeve. And that has been airing on the International Brotherhood of Magicians Facebook page. So they're like the sponsor. That organization is like the sponsor of the show. And so I get to sit down like this with magicians from all over the world and kind of talk behind the scenes, talk shop.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll check that out too, because that's very interesting to me, seeing how other people, other magicians do their thing and seeing what you think about that.
Yeah. We're going to be doing more where we cover the all the Fool Us acts, where we're going to talk, both interview the people that have competed on Penn and Teller, and also just discuss those acts and what worked or didn't.
How many people have fooled them so far?
My buddy David Copperfield, who I want to be a part of this talk show, could tell you the exact answer because he did all the research. He's got all the numbers, so I don't remember offhand. But he's like figuring out how many have fooled them, how many card tricks have fooled them, how many were 4Fers, the conference I went to, how many were women, how many were from out of the country. Like he's got all the numbers of who's actually fooled Penn and Teller, and but it's a obviously small percentage compared to the amount of people who have tried.
Yeah, I think I've YouTubed it before and saw some of the ones that fooled them, and they're incredible tricks. Incredible. I can't even figure out how they do some of the stuff that doesn't fool them. So I mean, that's how layman I am. Yeah, it's good stuff.
You're not Penn or Teller.
Yeah, so I look forward to seeing you on the show, and thank you for coming in today, man.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.